Let's go right now. I think we've got a big connection here with Sam Spangler, KHON News sports anchor. Sam, welcome to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, sir. I hope you're having a great day.
Thanks for having me. Good morning. Well, good morning for me, not for you.
Yeah, what time is it out there? I'm just curious.
It's 10:41.
Okay. Well, I noticed last night, I think I sent you a direct message on Twitter like at 3 o'clock my time. Maybe I got up and did some thing, and then I was like, man, he responded so quick, so it must have been a late evening. You guys were probably wrapping up your 10 o'clock newscast then.
Yeah, I was getting out of the office. It was about midnight, so yeah, it's very, very strong time change.
All right, Sam, let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Let's set it up. You had a chance, and I know we've played some of the conversation today and credited you there with sitting down with Tua and having a chance to visit with him. But talk about the return trip for Tua Tagovailoa back to his hometown there of Eva Beach.
Well, a returning hero. Tua Tagovailoa has been a big star here since his sophomore year in high school. When this is back in 2014, just to set the scene. Marcus Mariota had just won the Heisman, and Tua had this great sophomore season at St. Louis school, and he was anointed as the heir apparent to Marcus, and he's really lived up to those expectations. Obviously, going to Alabama, and when he got the limited action, he played so well, and then the national championship game, everything exploded. But coming home, this was somebody that a lot of people in Hawaii had looked up to for a long time. So obviously, a huge reception coming home. He's going to have a parade tomorrow morning. He spoke at his intermediate school yesterday, as you guys know. So, a returning hero for Hawaii, a very football-heavy state, and we don't have the best collegiate football team these days at the University of Hawaii, so Tua is the guy.
Sam Spangler helping us out, KHON sports anchor there. Sam, as you're traveling around town, how many Alabama shirts and hats do you see daily?
A lot more than I used to. It's interesting how it'll change around here because of the proximity to certain universities. Obviously, USC has always been big in the Polynesian community. The University of Oregon was big when Marcus was doing his thing there. But now Alabama, you see shirts that say "Roll Tide" on the front and then "Roll Tua" on the back, and they got the number 13 on there. So, a ton of University of Alabama stuff, which it wasn't rare to see Alabama stuff because it's obviously a national program and the greatest in college football history. So people would wear their stuff all the time. There's a ton of Alabama fans, but now, it's 1A is the University of Hawaii and 1B is Tua Tagovailoa with the Crimson Tide.
Now, you got to remember, we have these weird images because a lot of us have never been able to visit the beautiful island of Hawaii. And we always think about, when you go there, you're sitting on $1.5 million homes. It's just absolutely gorgeous. But my understanding is Eva Beach is more of is it middle-class type a community there?
Yeah, it definitely is. You'll have your vacation rentals and stuff like that along the beach in these incredible, $5 million, $6 million homes. But Eva Beach is a completely middle-class residential neighborhood. And they have the biggest high school in the state in Campbell High School. Tua went to a private school in St. Louis. But it's a very middle-class area. And for us, middle-class, unfortunately, is like, $700,000, $800,000 homes instead of a few million. But that's what the area is it's just a bunch of young families and a bunch of kids growing up. And I think that's one of the things that helps Tua growing up is that there's just so many kids to go out to the park and play with every day. And he took advantage of that when he was in high school. He did a lot of coaching on Sundays at just the community park, just volunteering. I would go out there and watch him and his dad, Nalu, and his brother, Taulia, just coach kids, every Sunday and just volunteer their time. And being around football, I think that really helped the family.
I'm just curious. You were in that engagement yesterday, and I'm sure you've probably seen some of the things that we've been discussing. And Tua mentioned that he would possibly leave Alabama if he did not play in the national championship game. Can you kind of help us maybe understand the context of that comment?
Yeah, I think that's really important, the context of that, because I chose not to run it on the air because this wasn't an event that Tua was even originally planned to speak at, and I don't think he knew media were there. So what happened is he went back to talk to his old middle school, and he was basically telling a story of perseverance through some hard times, and I think he was pretty clear throughout the season that he wanted to play, and he wasn't getting the chance, obviously because Jalen Hurts was doing so well and the team was doing so well. And obviously he was frustrated. I'm sure that happens to a lot of kids that are on that roster. You have all these 5-star talents and they want to play. So Tua, told the kids, I was talking to my dad, possibly transferring, and I had my mind made up before the national championship game. And then he goes on to talk about how, it's so good that I didn't. It was, a moment of weakness for me, and, perseverance is something that led me to be able to have the kind of success I had and we had as a team. And that was made for those kids. That I don't think that was made to be a national story. I don't think that's something he would say on the record when he would talk. So I chose not to run it, and somebody else in our city chose to put it out there. Now you see it on ESPN, and it blows up. Sometimes I think you got to remember that these are 20-year-old kids, and when they're talking to other kids, they'll say some things that they wouldn't necessarily say to the media. So I think that's good context there, because the family and Tua absolutely love the University of Alabama. They love being there. So I understand the competitiveness, and I think that's what drove him to originally have those thoughts. But, I think all of us would be surprised that the amount of athletes that have those thoughts that are sitting on the bench is just not acting on them is what's important.
Well, and I think when you look at Tua Tagovailoa, I'm the president of the Tua Tagovailoa fan club here locally. Okay, I know I'm a media guy, but the first time I went out to practice, okay, and I lost my bias, unbiasedness there. I went out to practice and I watched this young man throw the first day, and I debated all the way to the radio station. Was I going to tell my audience the truth, or was I going to wait off for a couple of more days? Well, then I went out to one more practice and I came back and I said, guys, he's probably better than the quarterback that just took Alabama to the national championship game. He can absolutely spin it. You fall in love with that arm, man. It's a beautiful spin of that football.
It really is. What was really exciting was watching the national championship game. The second half was basically watching his high school offense, just completely wide open and chucking it around. And that deep ball at the end of the game in overtime was a ball that we've seen him throw hundreds of times. That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they ran. And, kudos to Coach Dabo for being able to understand that and implement that and make it comfortable for him. But I remember the first day I saw him, he was a freshman, and they had a throwing camp with Coach Vinny Passis at St. Louis. He was the coach for Mariota, et cetera. And Marcus was out there. This was in Marcus's heyday right before his Heisman Trophy year. And Tua, no joke, as a freshman in high school, had better arm strength than Marcus Mariota when he was about to win the Heisman Trophy at Oregon. So that's an example of what kind of arm talent he has.
Yeah, it's like, and I've tried to explain, see, we've been accustomed here because Nick Saban has never really wanted to open it up. And we've had A.J. McCarron, which is an NFL guy, probably a starting quarterback up in Buffalo. But really, we've kind of survived with game manager type quarterbacks. We've won 5 out of the last 9, but we don't even know how to deal with a guy that is this elite. I think we're still trying to learn as a media and as a fan base to learn that, hey, this guy can make every single throw. He's an NFL caliber arm. And if he continues on this pathway, he's going to be an amazing pick. And he'll probably break every record in Tuscaloosa as far as our passing records.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing for the rest of college football, right? Like,
sure
how
it
do you
is.
deal with an Alabama team that has an elite quarterback like that who, could potentially work his way into the first round of the NFL draft? But I get the other side of the coin with it too. Is you see it throughout college football when you have a guy like that who loves to be, a gunslinger, as you will. Although Tua is careful with the football, you're going to run into games where they're not playing so well. And when you have one guy like that who's so dominant within the offense, if he has a bad game and he throws a few interceptions, that can be the difference between getting that bid to a college football national championship and not. And I think that's one thing that Jalen kind of provides, right? Is that he's such a stable force back there. He's not going to lose the game for you, and continuing to rely on the amazing run game that they have. So that makes sense as well. So, I understand, Coach Saban's predicament, but when you have that kind of arm talent and that kind of ability and accuracy, it's hard not to let it loose.
Sam Spangler right now with us, KHON, which is a sports anchor there in Honolulu, Hawaii, and we're talking about Tua Tagovailoa returning home. Talk about the celebration. Is this something that's normal that you guys welcome and have this hometown hero celebration, or is this something that's maybe a little bit different?
Well, I think it's happened before, but not with a football player like this. We've had it with mixed martial arts has a long storied history in the state of Hawaii. We have a UFC champion from a town in Waianae that's on the island of Oahu. So when he wins his championships, they have parades for him out in Waianae. We've had them before for local teams, but never just for a football player coming home like this, because we've had people who have had success. Obviously, Mariota had success. He didn't really come home to have a parade. He was going off to the National Football League. But this is unique in that regard. So, to have a kid who, was just here. He was just here, a year and a half ago. He was a student at St. Louis School to come home as a national champion of Alabama. This is a new thing for us. So this is definitely something exciting.
Well, something tells me if he continues to play at this level, you guys might have a parade every year or every other year, because he's going to – I mean, the way this team is built, we're sitting here talking about – I know Nick Saban would be mad, but you look at this team, in a lot of ways, they may be even better than they were last year in so many different areas. They lose a lot on defense, but this offense, with Tua Tagovailoa as a starting quarterback, if he in fact earns that job, this offense may be unstoppable. And I know that's crazy to throw around, but he's got 5 stars in the backfield. He's got 5-star offensive line. He's got wide receivers. I mean, this is going to be fun to watch here and around college football.
Yeah, we got to preview that in the second half of the championship game, right? When they put in Najee Harris, and then Leatherwood, I think, was playing tackle. That's a pretty good freshman group that they had last year, and then they stack it with another great recruiting class last year. So I feel bad for the rest of college football. Fortunately, my alma mater, the University of Hawaii, will not be playing Alabama this year, so I can root for them and still cheer on my Bows.
Hey, Sam, talk about Ron and Cal Lee there and what they mean, because we talk about Tua and the pre-reads and the ability to throw the football. A lot of this goes back to those historic coaches in Ron and Cal Lee there at St. Louis High School.
Yeah, Cal Lee is the head coach, and he's the defensive mastermind, and Ron Lee is the offensive coordinator. Both have been at St. Louis for a long time. Then they left. They both worked at the University of Hawaii under Coach June Jones, and back when UH had all the success with Colt Brennan, et cetera. And then returned back to high school. They coached at this high school, Kalani, which is a doormat perennially, and they turned them into a respectable program. And then they came back to St. Louis. And as soon as they came back to St. Louis, it was like the lights went on to this sleeping giant that had, won, I think it was 18 state championships within the last 30 years. And they had fallen on some hard times, and then they came back, and they started bringing in better players, obviously, to St. Louis, and they reloaded the roster, and then they brought in Tua, and that was kind of the stamp on that. And then they had a kid, Chevin Cordero, who's playing at the University of Hawaii next year, who followed in his footsteps, won them a back-to-back national or state championship, last season. And then they have a defensive tackle. I'm sure a lot of people in Tuscaloosa have grown familiar with, Tui Tele, who is a 5-star defensive tackle, recruited heavily by the University of Alabama. They're bringing the talent back through St. Louis. And obviously, the schemes that they run are incredible. They run the run and shoot offense, so it's really fun to watch all these passes being thrown. But they're really good on defense too, and that's just through recruiting really, really good talent.
We're looking forward to being this Polynesian pipeline. Okay, I mean we're looking forward to opening that up, because the Alabama brand expanding out there to the islands. Let me ask you real quick, because you've got I'm sure a lot of coverage planned for this weekend around the parade. How can folks stay in touch with what you guys are going to do as this hometown heroes celebration, the parade, and everything else? What you guys going to be doing, and how can folks get more information with what you guys are doing there at KHON?
Yeah, so all of our newscasts stream live, but it's going to be a little late for you guys to watch that tomorrow night. It'll be 11 o'clock by the time our 6 o'clock news airs Saturday night. So we'll put everything online. So it'll be on KHON2.com. So you can go there. There's a sports tab, and then they'll have all the stories of everything that Tua has done throughout the week. You can watch his interview yesterday about his speaking at Alima Intermediate School, and then we'll have all the coverage of the parade tomorrow on KHON2.com. As soon as I get back from out in Eva Beach, it's like a 15-minute drive for us, so I'll get back and put everything online, and you guys can see all the dancing and the music and the fun. It's almost like making a trip to Hawaii just to see all the cultural stuff real quick and getting a quick glimpse of it. So hopefully that'll encourage some more of the Alabama faithful to come out and check out our wonderful island.
Well, just make sure that he gets some of that, what do you call it? It's the food that he loves. Something about pig. It's some kind of like, he talks about it often. You cannot get it even close. I mean, he'd have to Well, what's it like a
Kahlua pig? Is that what
that's
you're talking about?
yeah, that's what it is.
Oh yeah, that is the stuff.
Yeah,
That
just make sure that he gets plenty of that, because man, we want him to come back here and get ready to win some championships.